Welcome back to ESL Lab Miami. I'm Kathy, and today we're going to talk about the ESL 60-meter hurdle, verbs followed by infinitives and gerunds. In this sentence, there are two verbs. The first verb, quit, is in the simple past, and the second verb, smoking, is in the gerund form. As you may remember, a gerund is a verb with ing on the end, and an infinitive is a verb formed by using to plus the simple form of the verb. This brings us to hurdle number 1. To jump over hurdle number 1, don't use the simple form of the verb all the time. The sentences below are not correct. The only time that you can use the simple form of the verb is if the first verb is a helping verb or a modal. Can and does are helping verbs. Speak and know are the simple form of the verb. Let's correct these sentences. Michael wants to win. Lori promised to marry Jack. Emerald enjoys cooking. The verb wants is followed by the infinitive to win. The verb promised is followed by the infinitive to marry. And the verb enjoys is followed by the gerund cooking. Now, of course, I'm not saying that you have to use a verb after these verbs. You could use an object. For example, you can say Michael wants a new iPod. The point is, if you do use two verbs in a row, the second verb must either be an infinitive or a gerund. How do you know which one? It depends on what the first verb is and what you want to say. So this brings us to hurdle number 2. To jump over hurdle number 2, you must learn which verbs are followed by infinitives. Here is a useful list of them in alphabetical order. When I was in high school, I used to tape alphabetized lists of French verbs to my bathroom mirror so that I could study them more. I always got A's on my tests, but my hair might have turned out a little messy. Anyway, even though I love to study alphabetized lists of verbs, my students do not. So let's focus on the meaning of the verbs and organize them into subcategories to help us remember them. Some verbs that are followed by an infinitive are optimistic verbs. For example, she wants to go to college. Hope, expect, agree, urge, would like, want, promise, plan, and offer are all followed by an infinitive. Hypothetical or imaginary verbs are followed by an infinitive, such as pretend, appear, and seem. For example, the children pretended to be ghosts. Discussion verbs can be followed by an infinitive. Ask and remind and tell. His mother reminded him to make his bed. Unfulfilled verbs are also followed by an infinitive. Fail, refuse, and need. Tanya refused to help me. Some verbs require an indirect object before the infinitive, as in this example. The police officer told me to move my car. Jumping over hurdle number 3 means knowing which ones are followed by gerunds. These can also be put into subcategories based on their meaning. Some pessimistic verbs are followed by a gerund, such as dislike, avoid, deny, postpone, regret, finish, miss, and quit. For example, she misses talking to her mother. Another set of discussion verbs can be followed by a gerund. Consider, discuss, recommend, and suggest. For instance, we are considering taking a vacation. Do you notice the present progressive is being used here, so you have two verbs with ing on the end. Polite verbs, as I like to call them, are also followed by a gerund. Appreciate, enjoy, imagine, and do not mind. Eddie doesn't mind waking up early. Once we've jumped over this hurdle, we can go to hurdle number 4. These are verbs that have no change in meaning. You can use an infinitive or a gerund. They're already put into their little groups. Begin and start have the same meaning. And hate, like, love, and prefer can also be classified into the same group. These sentences have the same meaning. Claire likes to paint. Claire likes painting. Eduardo started to work. Eduardo started working. It doesn't matter if you use a gerund or an infinitive. They are both correct and commonly used. Jumping over hurdle number 5 means learning the verbs that can be followed by an infinitive or a gerund, but with a change in meaning. This is a small group of words also. Forget, remember, stop, and try. Take a look at these two sentences. I forgot to buy a present for my friend means that I did not buy one. But I forgot buying a present for my friend means that I bought one, but it was so long ago I don't remember doing that. So be careful with this group. Well, even though we've tried to organize the verbs to remember them more easily, you may still have to study and practice them. The bathroom mirror is always a good option. And if you never get it at all, and you tell some American fellow, Michael wants win, he will probably understand you. But if you write the same sentence to your professor, your client, or your boss, it becomes a more noticeable stumbling block. Why stumble? You can gracefully jump over these hurdles by learning which verbs are followed by infinitives and which ones are followed by gerunds. And then you'll be ready for ESL pole vaulting. Well, check out my practice exercises at my blog, eslabmiami.blogspot.com. And finally, thanks for listening.